Good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life.
Head southeast on US 231 South North Main Street toward Lewis Drive.
Now,
Head northwest on North Main Street.
As you guys can probably hear, I got my GPS on because I'm on my way to do some more videos for you guys. Now, it's been about a month, give or take, from the last video I made, which was in Martinsville, to the video that you guys saw a few days ago, which I think the first video was Morgantown. I made it back on Monday or Tuesday or something of that sort. But I just wanted to get you guys caught up on what I've been doing and what some of my thoughts have been moving forward with just life in general, I guess. I mean, basically, I told you guys before, I purchased a home and I was working on getting it fixed up so I can move into it. Well, fortunately, I have finally accomplished all that. The house I purchased, I was able to get it fixed up, and I would say about a week or two ago, I moved into it and settled in. And I had to clean my other house and get it on the market so I can get that sold and recuperate some of my money. So, in a nutshell, that's basically what I've been busy doing. That, and of course, I've been busy with my job. We've been working a fair amount of hours, and the work that I do is pretty physical. It's real physical. So when I get off of work, a lot of times I go home and I go home, I jump in the shower, watch a little bit of YouTube, and then I basically fall asleep. So basically, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I told you guys before on one of my earlier videos I made that eventually I was going to get back out here and do some more traveling, which in about a couple of months, give or take, I'm going to do some more traveling. I would like to travel out west and start doing some videos out west. And at some point, I would like to go back down south and do videos down south. And even though I just moved and I like the community where I'm living currently, I'm not gonna lie to you people. I mean, there's still a part of me that I miss living back down south. I mean, I spent my 20s down south. I lived in Kentucky, and then I moved down to Tennessee. And last year, I spent a few months down in Alabama. Now, there's just something about the South that I've always liked. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good people here in Indiana and here in the Midwest in general. But in my opinion, with the exception of North Dakota, some of the friendliest people that I have ever met were in Tennessee. Now, and that's to include Nashville. Now, if you were to go to Nashville now, unfortunately, the Southern hospitality that used to be in Nashville is not going to be there like it used to be. And I'm sad to see that go. will say that when I went down to southern Tennessee to go visit some of my old friends, because when I was living in Tennessee, I lived all over Tennessee. I lived all over mid-Tennessee. I lived in Nashville. I lived in Hendersonville. And then when I left Hendersonville, I moved down to southern Tennessee. And I gotta say, southern Tennessee was my favorite part of the state to live. But anyways, when I went down to southern Tennessee, I went down to visit a few of my friends, and I gotta say, there's still a significant amount of southern hospitality in southern Tennessee. So if you're looking to move to Tennessee and you want the whole southern hospitality, you want the whole Tennessee experience, the good aspects of Tennessee, then my suggestion to you is to check out southern Tennessee. Now, if you have a little bit of money, or you work an occupation where you make decent money, and you're wanting the inner city / suburban experience, then yeah, go ahead and check out Nashville and Cool Springs and Franklin and all that type of stuff. And then to the north of Nashville, there's always Goodlettsville and Hendersonville and Madison. But I gotta say that Tennessee, I mean, I got a lot of good memories about Tennessee. Unfortunately, I've yet to find anything down there that's affordable, because everything down there has went up in price so much. Now, when I was living in Alabama, I gotta say, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I think people in Tennessee in general are a little friendlier than they are in Alabama. But that's not to say that Alabama doesn't got good people, because there's good people in Alabama too. Now, one thing I like about Alabama is, for one, I like the climate, especially during the late fall and the winter and early spring. And I also like the idea that it's close to a lot of vacation spots like Florida, the Gulf, like, you know, the Gulf of Louisiana, Mississippi, and then even Mobile, Alabama. And plus, you're not too terribly far away from the mountains. So those are some of the main things I like about Alabama. And plus, in Alabama, housing prices are still relatively low. Property taxes there are very low. Lower than what they are here in Indiana even. In Indiana's property taxes are pretty low. So there's a part of me that I'm still debating on whether I'm going to stay here in Indiana or I'm going to move back down south. I'm still kind of debating that. I'm just going back and forth on that thought. And with that being said, although I like Indiana, I mean, for starters, I am not a fan of winter. I hate wintertime. I hate snow. And then the salt that they got put on the streets so you don't slide all over the place. I hate the idea of driving through all that salt and then it eats up the enamel on my vehicles and rusting them out. And then all that salt tracks into your house. I hate all that. I just hate winter. And also here in Indiana, I mean, given that I grew up in the Midwest, there's not anything around the Midwest that I find inspiring or intriguing. here in the Midwest, granted, we do got a lot of beautiful countryside roads like the one I'm driving down right now. But to me, when it comes to stuff to do, for me, there's more to do down south than there is here in the Midwest. Now, granted, I'm only a few hours away from Chicago. However, I'm not a Chicago person. I'm not a big city person. I mean, to me, going to Chicago is not entertainment. Going to Chicago, for me, would be stressful. It would be a nightmare. I don't like any major city like Chicago. I'm just not a city person. I mean, nothing against Chicago and larger cities. I'm just not a city person. Like I told you several times on many of my videos. And if I went to the city for entertainment purposes, I'd rather go to a place like New Orleans than to go to Chicago. I'm just saying. And if I were to move back down south, like to Alabama, I could probably get me a plane ticket for not too much money and fly down to the Keys and spend a week or so down in the Keys every winter. Because I love the Keys. I mean, those are just a few things I can do down south, but I can't do so much here in Indiana because the drive to that part of the country would be too far. And it would be too expensive to drive down there on a regular basis. Now, of course, what I like about Indiana is, other than the fact that housing prices here are low, I mean, eventually I plan on venturing out and having my own businesses to where I don't have to work a 9 to 5 anymore. But in the event that I ever had to go back to working 9 to 5 for any reason, the jobs here in Indiana pay pretty decent. I feel the wages here in Indiana are pretty proportionate with the cost of living here in Indiana. I mean, right now, housing prices are a little higher than normal. That's because we're in the midst of a housing bubble. But I would say normally, the wages here in Indiana are pretty proportionate with the cost of living. So that's one thing I like about Indiana. Another thing I like about Indiana is, you know, I grew up in Ohio. All my family is still in Ohio, so if I wanted to visit family, I'm only a few hours away from that. I'm only a few hours away from Ohio, where my family is from. Because my family is from, I mean, I grew up in Northern Ohio, and that's where my family is. So if I wanted to drive up to Northern Ohio to visit everybody, I can. It's only about from where I live, it's only about a 4 to 5 hour drive, depending on traffic and weather conditions. And also, I like the summers and the early falls here in Indiana. Because here in Indiana, even during the heat of the summer, in most cases, after it gets dark and the sun goes down, a lot of times for me, if I needed to cool down my house to where I can get a good night rest, all I gotta do is crack open a window or two and cut on my fan and I'm good to go. I don't have to run the air. As where if I was down south during the summer, I would have to run the air. Even at night, I would have to still run the air. So I will say the summer weather in Indiana, to me, is a little more pleasant and easier to deal with compared to the summer weather down south. So when I look at what I like about Indiana and what I like about Tennessee and what I like about Alabama, I can think of all kind of things. When I look at what I dislike about those areas, I can think of all kind of things about all three of those areas. Now, I will say when it comes to the Kentucky, I mean, Kentucky is okay, but to me, Kentucky is a lot like Indiana. I mean, when it comes to the climate, to me, Kentucky is a lot like Indiana. So I wouldn't consider moving back to Kentucky. Because Kentucky to me, you know, it's like, hey, if I'm going to move to Kentucky, I'll just stay in Indiana. That's just how I feel about Kentucky. And when I look at the housing prices in Kentucky, I mean, I'm not saying Kentucky is expensive. I mean, Kentucky's housing prices is a little lower compared to many parts of Tennessee. But honestly, if I was going to move to Kentucky, I'd rather pay a little extra and move to Tennessee or move down to Alabama. Or like I said a second ago, just stay around in Indiana. So, yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking about whether I'm going to stay where I'm at or whether I'm going to relocate. And if I relocate, what I'm going to do for money. I mean, I got some ideas, but I'm not going to share them on the video right now. So that's basically what I've been up to. And, you know, for those of you that have moved, you know how moving can be, you know how tedious it is, you know how time consuming it is, you know how much energy it takes and the money that it costs and just everything that goes into relocating somewhere. And then on top of that, renovating a house. So due to all that, those are the main reasons why I haven't made a video in almost a month. I meant to make this video a week ago, but once again I got busy and I didn't get a chance to do this video, so I thought I would do it today. So yeah, you know, where I'm at right now, like I said, I like where I live, I like the community. But at the same time, there's certain things I miss about living down south. So I've just been going back and forth mentally and thinking on whether I'm going to stay here or I'm going to move back down south. But right now, it's unclear. I don't know. I'm still thinking. I'm still processing all my thoughts. I'm definitely going to be doing some traveling. That I will do. Like I said, in another month or two, I'll definitely be doing a little bit of traveling. Like right now, I can't do any traveling the way I want to because the money I had to spend on my house was a little more than what I've anticipated initially. So the money that I was going to use to travel, I had to spend that money on renovations. So now I'm going to have to postpone my traveling for another month or two so I can recuperate some of that money. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto East Morgan Street.
I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Sorry for the movement of the camera. I got to fix my camera. So everybody enjoy your day, and I will see you guys on the next video. And like always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I appreciate the comments that you leave below.
Turn right onto East Morgan Street.
And I know
Continue on East Morgan Street for 3/4 of a mile.
And I know some of you are probably wondering why I haven't responded to your comments. And once again, that's because I've been busy. So my apologies. So on this note, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video, and I will see you guys on the next video. Everybody have a blessed one.